601.
Oh, 601, okay.
601. So based on that, I will open it up to owner's comment, and I will rely upon David to help with, and the rest of the board to acknowledge anybody that would like to speak.
Okay, and
3 minutes is your limit, please.
right, and I'll be monitoring that. So someone else will have to let people in unless I'm allowed to do that. But let's see if there's any owner comments. And I see no hands coming up unless someone else sees something.
Gary Hudspeth would like to speak.
Okay, welcome, Gary.
Thank you. This is Gary Hudspeth at 1471 Resolute Street. I'm speaking today as a homeowner in Spring Lake, and the subject is, as you know, Spring Lake Landscape is under contract with Yellowstone. Some of you board members may recall that periodically I walk the neighborhood and take a look at outstanding or obvious issues that should be under the landscape contract. I recently did an entire walk around again between the 8th and the 9th of August, which was 3 weeks ago. And unfortunately, I have to report that 58% of the homes, 153 homes in Spring Lake, have at least one obvious landscape problem. I don't look for minor violations. I look for obvious issues like excessive weeds or bushes that haven't been trimmed in months. And I find that 58% of the homes having a major landscape problem is not good. This is my 5th review in 3 years. The last one I did was 18 months ago. And then there were only 34% of the homes that had a major landscape issue. So I'm asking the board to once again give us some help. We're looking for contract compliance. All the issues I found are in the contract, and I just don't know why they're not being addressed. I sent my list of issues on the 10th of August to the Spring Lake coordinator, and as of yesterday, when I walked around, I haven't seen much resolution. For instance, you know, when the contractors spray for pesticide and insecticide, they put out the little plastic stakes with the paper sign on them that says, "Do not walk on until it's dry." When I walked around on the 8th and 9th of August, there were still 71 of those in lawns and flower beds that had not been picked up. And they still haven't been picked up as of yesterday. So I'm looking for some help from the board. Finally, changing subjects right quickly. One of the first items that you have today is the easement tree revision on the easement design guideline. The Covenants Committee looked at that over the last week and found that it was misleading. We sent the board a revised version that we got directly off the CDD website we think would be more appropriate for celebration. And that's the end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With 10 seconds to go. Thank you. Any other owner comments? You can raise your hand or just speak up. Vanessa, I see none, so I'll turn it back to you.
Very good, thank you. I have a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian.
And David will second.
Thank you, David.
You
Discussion.
need to also verify that the meeting was properly noticed with Susan or Neil, if I may.
Oh, goodness, I'm sorry. I'm way ahead of me. I'm way down there. Thank you.
And then we have a quorum.
Thank you. See, I'm already trying. I'm like way ahead of things. Sorry about that, guys. Now you know why I'm not running the meeting on my phone very often. So verified a quorum?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
let's say the pledge, please. Would somebody like to lead that, please, rather than having everybody speak? David, why don't you lead us?
I'll go ahead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
The
America
United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll call the meeting to order. Motion to adopt the agenda was already motioned and seconded. Thank you, Brian and David. Any adjustments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve the minutes for the CROA board meeting 7/22/2020, and then the weekly updates for 7/10/2020 and 7/24/2020.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Do I have a second?
And I'll second.
Thank you, Mary Ann. And just for clarification, all of these minutes are reviewed by the board well in advance before they're published and put on for the board packet. So these have already been reviewed. So we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, then I will go ahead and go to,
Vanessa, just a note for the record, all 6 board members are online and
thank
in
you very
attendance.
much.
Just
Perfect,
so
thank you.
that's publicly known.
Thank you. Yeah, I cannot see that yet.
I know,
so.
I know you, I know.
Thank you.
I'm with you.
And pretty soon I'm just going to have you start taking over because it's getting to be too hard and too cumbersome. So I'll open it up to committee reports. Are there any committee reports?
All of those were posted online in the board book for public viewing and board viewing.
I have no comments.
I have
Thank you.
no clarification.
Okay. Then we will move on from committee reports, liaison reports. Brian, I don't know, as CCDD, if you want to do any recaps for anybody?
Yeah, I was on the CCD meeting, as was Neil last night. Halloween was discussed last night, and I'll go through it now. Neil, please add anything you want. We had a conversation with the CDD and the county a couple of weeks ago. Vanessa and I participated in that, and there was conversation around, do we have sheriff's deputies at the roads leading into Celebration, and do we restrict Celebration to residents only? On the conversation last night with the CDD, their recommendation now is that we post sheriff's deputies, but we do not restrict Halloween to residents only. The feeling was it just gets convoluted. What do you do if you have relatives coming into town or friends, and you put yourself in a tough position? So they had asked, we had a recommendation from the Special Events Committee that we not celebrate Halloween in town. They'd asked if we'd made that decision, and I said we had not. We were waiting on the county feedback. There was a letter drafted to the county which did not get sent, and now it's waiting on CROA to decide what we're going to do with Halloween. And assuming we go ahead with it, then you do something where, you know, we advertise the daylights out of it, that there are or are not Halloween going on in town. We still have sheriff's deputies telling people there is no Halloween, stopping big buses and stuff like that. People put on lights if they want it or don't want it. I had an email today from Paul Collins. I responded to that, copied Vanessa and Neil and JR. We have a little time to make a decision. I think we were going to try to put this on the September 4th workshop agenda, and I think then we have to have the conversation and make a decision. Neil, did I leave anything out?
No, sir. And I do appreciate that you were taking lead last night. My only feedback, and it's nothing more than, I think for some reason, somehow, some way, when the CROA board was initially talking about, hey, how do we respect and keep the integrity of CDC guidelines, because Halloween is one of those events that's going to inevitably bring people to close proximity, high density, especially young people who may not appreciate what's happening. That somehow, I think, has filtered or manifested throughout Celebration as if the board was trying to shut down Halloween, and that just wasn't the case. And per usual, I think communication, whether it be through the county or CDD and, you know, all the moving parts. I think last night it got hashed out a little bit more. I think the intent initially, and I could be wrong, but it was really to try to protect people's health as best we can. But how it manifested into something bigger, I'm not sure, but it seems to me that, and again, Brian, that's why I thank you for kind of speaking up last night. That wasn't the intention of CROA to, you know, make a holiday disappear. But again, we still have a responsibility. I think your you know, parks, excuse me, your special events committee has stepped up to provide some alternatives, which as a board, you know, but the only thing that I think they were talking about was the signage, Brian.
Yeah.
Maybe putting the signage of maybe a week or a few days ahead of time, just to make sure people understand that it's not going to be business as usual.
I think if it gets signed, CDD already has some signs. If we need a couple more, we'll get them, and then we'll advertise the daylight out of whatever our decision is going to be by early October. But to properly coordinate with the sheriff's deputies, we have to make a decision in very early September. So I would ask the board that we prioritize this for the September 4th workshop as one item we got to discuss. That's all I have.
Yeah, just to further clarifying on that, you know, when we talked with the county, the CDD did vote live during that meeting 3 weeks ago to ask for deputies pending CROA's endorsement, which we then endorsed. But that was all, it was what Neil is saying is about protecting the health and safety of residents. That was all intended focusing on the non-resident. We as a board have not yet discussed the full impact of the special events committee meeting, which I think, Brian, is what you're saying. Let's discuss in a workshop where we can have resident input in September 4th. Discuss what do we do internally, because there are some options. So we as a board have not discussed what do we do internal to celebration regarding our own residents. Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement, and anybody listening who will listen to us later now knows everything we know. I mean, I can tell you the reason that people thought we were canceling Halloween is in that meeting when we discussed it, we said that special events had recommended canceling Halloween or during might have even said. So, and it made the back porch and the front porch and all the other porches. So, and that's fine. Where we're at is we got to discuss it on September 4th.
Yeah, we haven't discussed it yet. So.
And David, I think, and from my opinion, from the, you know, take away the porches, the other avenues of communication people send me, I think the impression was the deputies were being brought in to, you know, shut down and enforce, or prevent people, you know, ingress and egress. It was my interpretation that deputies were going to be there to help advocate to enforce CDC guidelines, county ordinances, and if things got out of control, or at least could lend to get out of control. So yeah, like Brian said, whoever's listening, there was no intent to, you know, put a big X through Halloween 2020 on behalf of CROA.
Yeah. And we should move on. We spent enough time on this, but the county is still going to be making decisions about Halloween for the county as a whole. So we're also waiting for more and better information.
That's fair. So a week and a half from now, a week from Friday, we'll have that on the workshop agenda.
Yep, September 4th.
Right.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you, Neil, and David for chiming in with regards to that update. Is there anything else with regards to liaison reports?
Anything with Island Village?
David, I'm going to ask.
Go ahead. Did we just lose her?
Yeah, is there any update with Island Village? That's fine.
Not since the last meeting.
We had a meeting regarding. We had a meeting regarding Island Village. We met with Island Village, and then later I had a conversation with Streetlights, who is the builder, and I also briefed this on the CDD meeting last night. Island Village is still going through the approval process with the county and with TCC, so it's not approved yet. They would like, Streetlights is doing a refinancing or financing of their work, and they were to build the apartments, the downtown, the pool, the amenity. They hope to get financing done in the 4th quarter, and then they would like to start the apartments next year. They need 24 to 28 months to build them. Phase 1 has now been broken into a 1A and a 1B by Mattamy. The two phases together are about 279, 280 homes. Phase 1A will be done in 2021, they hope. Phase 2 or 1B would be in 2022. Phases 2, 3, and 4 are not even on the drawing board at this point in time. So where David and I have been, and I put it in writing to the full board, is I think we're going to have to be very conservative. They're, you know, behind schedule by quite a bit, waiting to see what happens with COVID, with the economy as a whole, and that type of stuff. And it's just a way to be.
I think the only other addition is they were going to build, as I recall, 3 different homes, one sample townhome and 2 sample homes as model homes. And then home sales would start. And then the potential first occupancy, as I recall, was April of 2021. Does that sound right, Brian, in terms of the dates?
They use April 2021, but I don't know how you could possibly build a home in 2 or 3 months.
Wow.
It seemed ambitious to me.
Yeah. And
David, just to supplement David and Brian's advocacy or liaison, I mean, the only things that I really was focusing on was, I have a budget that we need to prepare and get in Brian's hands. So we're looking at the absolute, probably looks like a maximum, and Brian, like, correct me if I'm misspeaking, but about 279 homes being pulled down the rest of this year. And as they start coming in as occupants in 2021, yeah, I do think it's not anybody's guess in the terms of like trying to be, flippant or negative about it, but there's a lot of variables that even the builder at Mattamy can't control right now. So 2021 might just be a year for them of where they're bringing in new Celebration residents, not necessarily infrastructure.
Yeah, I think two bottom lines for us. One is, as Brian's just said, the issue of finances will be very conservative from any implications on our end. Second is we're staying engaged. That's where we started 2 years ago. We're just staying engaged with them as cooperative partners, not endorsing them, but sharing what we can in terms of our lessons learned and our insights, and just trying to be good neighbors, because we'll inherit the oversight of all this in the future.
David, I'm going to turn the rest of the meeting over to you here. So I'm going to still be here, but I'm having some issues. Go ahead.
Okay. I think that's it for liaison reports. Should we move to financial review?
Sure. For the financial review, because we got so many action items, we didn't put in the treasurer's report this time. We've got the other financial reports in there. We have reported consistently in the past few months that our financial position is strong, and my report now would be identical to that. Our financial position, cash position, and that is still strong. We're showing us a cash profit of about $100,000 for the year, and when you look at all of our cash balances, they're slightly stronger than they were at the end of May, at the end of June. So right now, financials are strong, would be my message.
Okay. And you have an active finance committee.
And we have a very active finance.
And then some. Management reports, the next item. Neil, Susan?
Yeah, and obviously I'm still leaning on Susan heavily, but is there any questions or requests for clarification from our board members with respect to the management report that was sent out earlier this week?
It's reporting the regular stuff. The KPIs are attached to it. There's some items for community standards for the business office that are attached so that you can see that information should you need to.
I'll tell you, the only question I have, I mean, I read through it, and one of the things I did look at was a landscape report. And so I would just ask that Michael Henry, when he goes back to look at the landscape in light of what Gary Hudspeth reported as an owner's comment this evening, just to make sure. I mean, we rely on what we see in the management report and the reporting. I know there were some ones when you look at what Gary was reporting, and to make sure that there's consistency with what Gary sees and what Michael is reporting.
May I also just add one thing here?
Sure, sure.
The Spring Lakes now has committees, and those committees have asked that we go out to bid for the landscaping in Spring Lake. So Gary's reporting about Spring Lake, which is not included in any of our action items today.
Okay. Okay. So that's
David?
Thank you, Susan, for that helpful clarification. Yeah, yes, Vanessa.
David, I think this is probably a good opportunity to say thank you so much to Susan Kearns for all of her hard work and dedication in celebration. She's been here for 5 years. The notification went out that she has resigned and will be moving on, but she's staying with us, especially through the budget period. So thank you for staying on with us, Susan. But your professionalism and your shining attitude is just refreshing going into town hall, and we're really going to miss that. And thank you for all of your long hours and always being there when we need you. So we wish you nothing but success and happiness in your life as you move forward, but we'll miss you.
Thank you, Vanessa. I love celebration. It's time for me to go. I'm a little bit burnt out, but I will make sure that whoever my successor is, that I give them as much tools, and they can certainly, call me anytime, because I want Neil and my successor to have all the tools that they need that I can give them. They're all smart, it's a good community. So.
Well, thank you very much, and we wish you much success too. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's hard, Susan, it's hard to top what Vanessa just said. You've been marvelous, and you're dovetailing with CAI, the professional association, and bringing a lot of their insights to celebration and the celebration insights to CII. It's been a win-win. You've just been totally hands-on and way above and beyond the call of duty. I mean, some of the late night emails, it's like, oh God, go home.
I know.
And so thank you for all of your dedication, all your service, and your commitment to help make celebration a better place.
Certainly. And Neil and I have a date at the CAI meetings every single month. So I'm going to make sure he gets to know everybody and, is very well involved as well.
Good.
Okay, you can go ahead and continue leading. You can continue. Thank you.
Good. No, thank you. That was on my list also, and good. I'm glad you got that. Action item. Let's move to the action items. Number 1, motion to approve the addition of the street tree excerpt as a modification to the easement design guidelines as recommended by the ARC and reviewed by General Counsel. Do we have a motion?
I will motion to have, it's going to be a little off. First, I'd like to acknowledge I'm the ARC liaison for this, and the ARC committee has spent timelessness in their hours to try and get this complete. It started as a concern because many of our street trees were being removed by owners, not many, several were removed by owners without any notification to ARC. So that's what drove this. But I would like to recognize that we have received numerous emails with regards to the guidelines and suggestions within the board. I did mention to the board that I would like to have either edit this or work with the CCDD with these design guidelines to try and come up with consensus. As the street trees ultimately are CCDs. So how do we work together? So I think my motion would be to have the CCDD liaison and the ARC liaison for the board work with CCDD in editing the guidelines and then voting, bringing them back for a vote to the board.
And
that would be my motion.
And I would be happy to second that motion so that we can have conversation.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. So the motion is about having the CDD and the ARC liaisons work together to edit these documents. I'm sorry, edit this document before bringing it back to the board. Is that,
Well,
Yes.
the motion
Okay.
was, and the ARC is Vanessa, the CDD is me, and Kevin, and there's a backup for ARC too. And then we would go to CDD and then come to the board.
and then, okay. The two liaisons and then work with CDD.
Right.
And so it could be Paul Collins, the CDD liaison, or it could be someone else.
It would be with Paul Collins initially.
Okay.
And he's quite aware. He's fully aware of what's going on with this too. So I mean, he knows that we've been working on the guidelines. He's fully aware of this. We just need to make sure that that it's enforceable, and the guidelines are just saying what they need to on behalf of residents, and more importantly, on behalf of ARC. What can the CROA board actually enforce?
So just so everybody on the phone has a good history here, we're talking about the trees between the sidewalks and the street. That is CDD property via easements, and the trees are CDD property. The law changed in Florida so that homeowners can take out those trees without CDD approval, and some homeowners have done that, and we think that is not necessarily a good decision. As this has gotten written now, it's talking about trimming trees and stuff like that, which I struggle with hugely. So the reason that CROA is getting involved is because CROA through ARC can control approval to remove a tree. My personal belief is that, this ought to be written to deal with, if you want to remove a tree that is not diseased, then you need a plan to work with ARC and CDD to do it. But if it's a diseased tree, that should be CDD's responsibility. If you take some of these big oaks as an example, it would be very expensive. And the way this is written now, it almost appears like it would not be a CDD expense, but a homeowner expense. And I don't think that's right and fair. And I know there's a lot of other board members with opinions and other people in the community with opinions.
And I think, Brian, it also calls for, if you remove a diseased tree of a certain size, you have to replace it with a tree of that size, equivalent size,
Comparable.
comparable size.
Yeah.
I think the point here with the action item as written in the agenda, that's not what we're voting on. We're voting on Vanessa's and then the seconded rewording of the motion, so that the ultimate document that we vote on is acceptable to, it would work through a lot of these kinks.
Exactly.
So here's the motion as I have it. A motion to have the CCDD liaison, which is Brian, and the ARC liaison, which is Vanessa, work with the CCDD to modify the easement design guidelines and bring back to the board for approval. Right?
Yes.
Oh.
That sound right, Brian? Yeah, okay, Brian's saying yes.
Hey, David.
Any other board comments? Yes, I hear someone, is that Neil?
Hey, David, it's Neil. I know I don't get a vote in this, and
No,
I'm
that's
sorry to be out of order, but just having come here recently and participating in quite a few of the different organizational meetings, I would feel more comfortable with the board accepting Brian's motion and moving forward with us just doing a little bit more research on this one.
Yeah.
I think there's just a lot of obligation that could end up being burdened by our owners within CROA. That albeit good intentions, but it could be bad outcomes for them in the future. So I have to vocalize that I support Brian's
Vanessa's motion.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Vanessa's motion to let's just tighten this down a little more.
Yeah, and I think the other part, just dovetailing what you just said, Neil, is to make sure we don't have unintended consequences. We solve one thing and open up multiple other issues.
Absolutely.
So trying to tighten it up. So do we have any other board discussion?
I have one other comment. This is Kevin. Hi, guys.
Hi, Kevin.
So everybody did hear my comments briefly through email yesterday about it. But the one thing, while we add additional parties in here, is it worth looking to see if we get a CNOA representative involved? And I say that for two specific areas. That's, of course, downtown, where you have trees in that easement area. That really, there are CROA residents that are over there. And you also have up and down the boulevard, that also has that easement. So I'm curious to see, are commercial entities going to go ahead and take on this ability to cut those palm trees down up and down the boulevard as well? So it might just be something that goes celebration wide.
The question in the guidelines is what is the scope of their coverage? Is it just CROA, residents and properties? Susanna's nodding her head yes.
Oh, no, I'm thinking it's a good question.
But that's something, maybe that's something that in the spirit of what's been proposed, maybe they can look at that and see if it applies just to CROA properties or if it applies as Kevin has suggested.
Yes, I'll look into that. I just want to add whether, even though the easement guideline isn't getting approved tonight, that, because of this change in procedure, CROA always had the ultimate authority for owners removing trees, but typically in the past they would go to CDD and to get an easement tree removed. And it's just important to note that whenever a homeowner decides they want to remove an easement tree, they need to submit an application to CROA.
Right.
Based upon Kevin's comment, I think it's probably a good idea to revise the motion to say in CROA if applicable, and talk to them about downtown. Let's do it once, right?
I'm fine with that. I'll amend my motion to include CROA.
Susan, you got that?
I got it.
Okay. Any other board comments? Mary Ann, Diana? Ready to vote? Okay. All in favor?
I would do roll call. I would do
roll call. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
thank
roll
you.
call for item.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Old habits. Brian?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
And David's a yes. So the motion passes. It's unanimous. Item number 2, motion to appoint Tanya Filak to the Recreation Committee as recommended by the Recreation Committee. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Any second?
I'll second. This is Mary Ann.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Discussion.
Call the vote.
Okay, call a vote. Brian?
Aye.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Kevin?
Aye.
Diana?
Aye.
Vanessa?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so that's unanimous. Motion passes. Item 3, motion to approve the renewal of a 13-month contract with Little Fins recommended by the Recreation Committee.
So moved.
Brian moves
Mary Ann, second.
and Mary Ann seconds. Discussion on this.
Call the vote.
It looks okay. Mary Ann, you're first.
I'm first at what? I was reading the next action.
I'm sorry, we're voting on Little Fins.
Oh, yes.
Yes, okay.
I moved ahead.
Okay. Diana,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, so that's unanimous. Motion passes. Item 4, motion to approve a deposit in the amount of $5,000 for the 2021 Founders Day Entertainment contract. That's our 25th anniversary. We have a motion. Mary Ann's motioning. And a second from,
I'll second for discussion.
okay, thank you, Kevin.
Just wanted to go ahead and clarify. Brian asked a valid question regarding the return of the deposit with COVID and all of that. This is obviously, it's more than a year out. I think the furthest that we've actually planned any event is, 16, 17 months, whatever it might be. Are we able to go ahead and receive any of these funds back for the deposit? What excuses will be there?
I think JR.
I'll let JR.
Is that appropriate for you, JR?
Let me help JR since we've traded emails. And then JR, you
Okay, great.
if I state any of this incorrect. We put down a $5,000 deposit right now, and the reason JR is putting it down now is because we either get the entertainment option that he is trying to get, or we run a serious risk of losing them. We would then owe the second $5,000 right before the event in November of 2021. This party lives in Florida, so other than a little bit of hotel work, rooms and setup, we won't have much in the way of additional expenses. If the event does not occur, we wouldn't have those expenses. If the party themselves cancels the concert, we get our $5,000 back. If the party does not cancel, but it gets canceled because of COVID, we lose the $5,000. JR, did I state all that properly?
You did, but also regarding if COVID is present next year and we end up canceling because of that. If we end up canceling because of COVID, chances are then it's wider spread. There could be local, state mandates again in place, and if that's the case, I think it is strong that we would get the deposit back.
Would we get the deposit back, or would we get a credit towards a future event?
Well, that's what we can work out with them. We can I mean, traditionally you get the deposit back. For some events this year, if we had canceled them, we were looking at moving the deposits forward, but that's something next year we can just ask for the money back rather than try to move it forward.
I read the contract. I think we would be at risk. They might be nice, but I think we would be at risk.
I guess that's part of the gamble that we make at this point if we're trying to land top entertainment this far out.
I mean, I personally don't know who we're going for, and I trust JR entirely, but I just can't make a decision blindly. I want to, trust me, I want to, but there's just so many unknowns right now.
I'm comfortable. It's far enough out for me that I'm comfortable in doing this. I think it's something that with the deposit, I think we've worked through things. COVID is an unknown, but we've been able to shift around the talent, and so I'm comfortable with doing this.
And as one who is one of the most reluctant ones to approve events, as I look 16 months or 14 months out, I think we'll be all right.
I think we call the vote and let every board member explain their position.
Yeah. Okay, let's call the vote. Brian, you want to go first?
I will be a yes. I'll support it. I agree there's risk, but I think 14 months is a long time, so I have hope.
Okay. Diana?
I'm concerned that we have not many outs of this contract. I do think 14 months or 16 months out, hopefully things will be better. Can we just confirm that this is a big enough name to take the risk?
I can confirm.
They are? And that's okay, because I know we're not sharing it for.
Yeah, no, I can.
It to be a big deal. So.
Yeah, it is a big deal.
Hey, Diana, it's Neil. So, yeah, obviously there's some built-in excitement, which I think may come up to some people as us, not willing to share and be transparent. That's not the case. I'm not from Florida, and I can say it's, to me as your executive director, it's worth the board I guess taking the risk per se. Even if we just got credits for future with this, with the entertainment, I recommend the board accept.
Just,
all right, then I vote yes.
So Diana's a yes, okay.
Just to confirm for the public, there's only 3 or 4 people who know what we're talking about, and that's probably only one board member, being Vanessa, I would think.
Yeah.
David's aware as a liaison.
I am aware, and I echo Kevin's point of trusting JR's judgment and assessment of the excitement. Marianne.
I echo everybody. It's all very good points, and I think the time frame. I'm willing to put a little bit on the line here and say yes.
Okay. Kevin.
I don't want to vote no.
None of us do, Kevin.
I don't want to vote no. I go ahead and I look at the 4th of July and, you know, we thought we were 100% buttoned up and we still lost some money on fireworks. It's going to pass and that's fine. I just make sure that my name is always attached to the vote that I really want to go for, and that I have all the facts in front of me. I don't know if I could abstain, if that's even an option.
Sure, you can abstain.
No, but I just feel like I don't have all the information.
Okay. Do you want to abstain?
That's where I'll go. I'll abstain.
Okay, that's fine. Vanessa?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so the vote is 5 with 1 abstention. 5 in favor, 1 abstention, so the motion passes. Item 5, motion to approve the purchase of a 2020 Chevy Silverado 1500 from Starling Chevrolet, amount of $26,672 plus tax tag and title from CROA Replacement Reserve expenditure. Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Second.
Second, Kevin.
Okay, Kevin. Discussion. When was my question is, and I have the same question for the NEB following. When was the last purchase? When was the last vehicle purchased? Just ballpark.
I think it was probably 16, 17. It was definitely the Colorado.
Okay.
And
so 16, 17.
I think it was, yeah.
So it's time. And what are we doing with, are we just adding to the fleet or are we discarding one?
Adding.
I'll let Mike
Adding,
speak
thank you.
there.
Okay.
Yeah,
thank
Mike.
you.
Hey, Mike, can you speak to this since it's a couple action items? Honestly, big picture, like,
Sure thing.
you know, commingled into multiple action items, but it's really one long-term strategic goal.
Yeah. Mike?
Right. I mean, initially when I get going back in the reserves, the idea was to purchase a new truck and replace the older truck, which would be the Ford F-150. Over the time since that initial thought came out, you know, we have grown, Celebration has grown, and the demand for maintenance, Parks and Rec has grown. So instead of trading in the Ford with this deal, we're looking to just add this to our fleet. Then it would give us, the ability to, cover all departments, especially when we do start having events and things, to where we're not going to be short either on maintenance or Parks and Rec.
Okay. Okay. Other discussion? Diana, Marianne?
No, that's a very nice price, actually. So because I buy fleet vehicles too, and I'm a little, I'm impressed with the price. It's good negotiating.
And this was already in a reserve study from a couple of years ago. Brian, any questions? Kevin?
No, I'm good.
Call the vote. Diana, you want to go first?
I will vote yes.
Okay, good. Marianne?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that's 6-0. Motion passes. Next one is motion to approve the approve the purchase of a 2020 GEM LSV from Orlando Dodge in the amount of $18,680 plus tax tag and title for replacement reserve expenditure. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Followed by, second by, that was Kevin?
Yep.
Thank you, Kevin. I guess it's the same discussion from Michael in terms of
Yep,
keep the we're adding to this, we're not replacing one, and I guess
Correct.
the old one down to the CCFC.
I do have
Exactly. Same situation as we're growing, seeing the need develop down at the complex. We have a vehicle that would fit that need, which would be the NEV that we were planning on replacing. So again, this would be adding to the fleet without any trade-in or removing a vehicle from the fleet.
Okay.
I do have one question just as a follow-up. I mean, I know that we've talked about the reasons why we could use this now just for general public. We do know that we will not be able to drive to current celebration, if you will, down the boulevard to Island Village based on speed limits with the NEVs at the present moment. But that will be something that obviously the timeline has been extended, so I'm less worried about that concern right now. The one thing that this does bring to mind is I go on my evening walks, and I think we still, as of just last week, have some NEVs that we agreed to get rid of over in storage. So just because that's somewhat related to this, I just want to make sure that is publicly known what's going on with those as well.
Sure. Just a quick recap on that. The NEVs that we're removing are ones that have been back there for years, parted out, no value. So as you know, the company that's taking them from us, which actually is a cost because we would have to pay a good amount to get them out, it is taking them a little time. When he comes in to service any of ours, he'll bring his trailer and then take one out at, on those types of trips. Okay. But those are not the ones we're considering to put down at the sports complex.
No, we voted on getting rid of those. I was just
Right.
clarifying because I know that they're still seen, but we can move on. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the NEV? Call the vote. Kevin,
Aye.
Brian,
Yes.
Diana,
Yes.
Marianne,
Yes,
Vanessa,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion passes 6-0. Next item, motion to approve the replacement of windows and doors at Heritage Hall by I&E Construction. The amount of $96,121.64 CROA replacement reserve expenditure. We have a motion from Kevin. Thank you.
I'll second.
Second from Brian.
Just clarification on the purpose. I'm not against the highest bid. I just want for public the clarification why we're choosing that one. I'm very excited to see this done. Again, it's something that I've seen for quite some time. I know that the board packet didn't include one photo, but it's been covered in a piece of plywood for several years as well. So it needs to get done.
Right, I'll be happy to cover that. There are a number of reasons why we're deciding to go, or we would like to recommend go in the direction of I&E. One is they have the capabilities to, when they're replacing the windows, to address any structural issues that might have arisen from these windows. Like right now, when we get a heavy rain, the main room at Heritage Hall does leak. We've traced that back, to the cupola on top of the roof. But again, with that intrusion that's been going on for some time, there might be some issues inside. And they're also working with us on the water tower. I have met with them on a couple pre-construction meetings. Their foreman they're going to have on both projects, if approved, I do work very well with. And one thing I am very impressed is the amount of communication they send us. So that was another bonus. The other issue that happened here with the increase, with this price is, with COVID, we've had some increases on manufacturing costs. And with the windows that were approved by the ARC, they're unfortunately on high demand, and those costs have gone up. And that has been factored into this as well.
Can you, since the one is the 60,000 is windows only, is incomplete bid, let's not compare it, but there's a $22,000 difference, roughly 25 something. What are we getting for the 21,000?
I'm sorry?
In other words, Window World is 75,000 and I&E Construction is 96,000. So there's a $21,000 difference, roughly.
Right.
Would Window World be doing the exact same thing that I&E Construction would be doing, or is there a difference in service provided?
There is a difference in service that they are able to provide. If it was just a strict window replacement without any worry about any of the structure behind around that window, Window World would be fine. My concern is what's behind it. And if we open this up, Window World, and I'm not saying this would happen, they can kind of hold you and then force their contractors to come out, then you're in delays. And then again, with that, construction costs go up. And what we get with that is the peace of mind that they will be able to come in and fix and address any structural defects, which I don't know, but just being there and inspecting this property, they're going to be there. with Window World, they would not be able to address those structural defects.
This is Mary Ann. I saw in the notes that they also, I&E included the stucco and the painting in their bid. Nice.
Yes, ma'am.
Did the whole package. So did the other one, that would end up being additional?
That would be a third party, another contractor to come and repair any stucco that might have been, damaged during the process.
I think it's fair to say with anything that we've done with construction, whether it be roof or anything else, we always plan for the unknown. And I think the I&E construction sounds like that's your best plan for the unknown.
Mike, I have a technical question. It looked to me in the board materials, it looked to me like the current windows were wood. And
Yes, sir.
but I couldn't tell what the new windows were made of. Is it wood again? Do you know? I'm just curious. Are we gonna, I'm thinking 20 years down the line. If it's wood again, we're gonna face the same thing in 20 years.
Let me double check. The answer's on the tip of my tongue. I just don't want to say it and be incorrect.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Well, I do know that Todd had suggested a less expensive window that was a composite plastic, and that was denied. And so he had to go out to bid, and the windows are a better quality than I don't know about what's there, but than what he had originally proposed. So, and there was quite a price differential between them.
So that it probably means something.
I don't know what it means, but Mike will know what it means.
It looks like the
I will
bid
have
says
that. I will have that
Anderson
short.
windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bid says Anderson windows, aluminum clad wood interior.
Oh, does it say that? I didn't see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what was on my tip of my tongue. Thank you for finding that.
I'm sorry,
No
I just have one quick question. You
Thank you,
mentioned
Mike.
that the purpose for I&E is the, essentially they will take care of the unknown? Is that what you said? If something were
Not
to...
take it. They would be able to address and repair any unknown structural deficiencies that might have been caused from these windows in their current condition.
Okay, because
And that would be brought
That's
to the
an
board.
additional price, though.
Okay,
Correct.
okay.
But stucco and painting
But
is included.
correct. Like the basic, and I say basic, but with a traditional regular window installation without any major issues, they would be able to replace, paint, match any stucco outside of the frame itself. Most window companies do not do that. That would have to be a third party coming out.
Got it. So you're getting full services
Yes, sir.
and peace of mind. Any other discussion? Call the vote. Brian?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. Diana?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so 6-0, motion passes. Item 8, motion to approve the purchase of 8 commercial air scrubber HEPA filter systems from Amazon.com in the amount of $3,736, CROA operating expenditure. We have a motion.
I'll move.
Mary Ann, thank you. Second,
Second.
thank you from, I think that's Vanessa.
Diane.
Diana.
Oh, Diana, sorry. Diana. Discussion. As I looked at the materials, these look like portable units that plug into the wall. Am I reading that correctly? Is that
Yes,
what
sir.
an air scrubber is?
Correct. Basically, is a real thick filter.
Okay.
Basically, it's a HEPA filter, and they do blow a lot of volume of air through these machines. Like the air conditioning system here at Town Hall, they are HEPA filters, but it's through one continuous duct system. So, and then again, this is a caution prevented, to the community to provide the safest environment when we do start opening up facilities. So these just clean the air, circulated the filters, changed out as needed, depending on the use. But what is nice about these is they can actually be conjoined. Like if we had a larger event they can attach and create a larger machine, just to move more air if needed.
Got it.
But with the 8, that would cover each, when we have events or these dance classes, we throw one in each of these facilities in the rooms, and it cleans that air. Along with the hand sanitizers and everything else, I think it's something that can help the community and show that we're definitely a proactive approach to this, situation.
Do you think, technical question, do you think this number, eight of these is sufficient?
Yeah, there's one that I spoke with Nikki about. That the 8 would definitely cover our activities throughout Heritage Hall, through the Town Hall. The great thing about it is they are portable.
Yeah, right.
So that helps as well.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, it's Neil.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to call you out because I didn't ask you this ahead of the meeting, but is there, just for our listeners and for our homeowners and our board members, is there a benefit to having these in an environment that's not COVID reaction?
Absolutely. I mean, if anybody has strong allergies, weakened immune system, or anything like that, these do. I mean, this is what the hospitals use. Not these machines, but the same idea with the HEPA filtration. It really goes down to the microscopic level. So take COVID out of the picture. This just helps, especially with pollen, things like that. These clean that up real well.
These help us. They help us anyway.
I've been in rooms where the fans are really loud. Are these loud or not?
They're not horribly loud. You will hear them. I know I've heard some other filters like this, and you have a small engine in that room. What you hear with these is the actual fan blade. You're not hearing the motor. It's a low rumble, manageable. I have heard one on like the same model. So if you throw it in a small office, you can still operate. But especially in a larger space where they're doing the dance, it would not interfere with their music or the instructor talking or any communication among the group.
Diana, I see your hand up.
What's the cost of maintaining and the replacement filters, and how long do they last, and what's that going to be the ongoing cost?
Sure thing. With the filters, one thing of a possibility of recovering the cost is the events that we have in the town hall include that in their agreement, that they help pay for the replacement of these filters. The filters run about $30 a piece, and they can last, depending on usage, up to 3 months. I'm guessing by the hours that we'll be using them, probably once a month we'll be looking to do it on a unit that's being used. It's not replacing all 8 every month. It's something that would be monitored and dated as we change out the filters.
Any other discussion?
David, sorry, it's Neil one more time. And
Sure.
Mike, again, I'm sorry I should be asking this stuff behind closed doors. Am I understanding this correctly? So if we had some water leaks or we had maybe intrusion issues, could these also help benefit while we were waiting for remediation?
Oh, they can absolutely use, they can be used as blowers, absolutely. Just moving the air around.
Okay, cool.
They're not
Thank
not dehydrators, but they will move the air around.
Oh, I'm
so
not.
Yeah, absolutely, they could be used for.
Yeah, I'm not so much concerned about dehydrate, but I'm just thinking, just in terms of if we have some mitigation work that we need to do, will this kind of actually help preserve air quality in those environments if we had intrusion or unpredicted issues?
It will do. It will remove the water. Just by the air circulation, it will not collect the water. If we had a big water intrusion, that's where we come in, where they have the water extraction. But these will absolutely help move the air around and dry it up.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Ready to call the question? Mary Ann?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Brian? Brian's muted. That's a yeah. I think that was.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Vanessa?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that's 6-0, motion passes. Item number 9, motion to extend the contract for 1 year with New Leaf Landscaping at the Celebration Community Field Complex.
David?
Did I miss one?
Now, can we combine 9,
Yeah.
10, 11, and 12? I mean, it's
Sure.
new
It's the same.
Yellowstone, it's all the same.
Yeah,
thing.
that's fine.
One big
Okay.
conversation.
So you want to make that motion that we motion to approve items 9, 10, 11, 12?
I'll make the motion to approve items 9, 10, 11, and 12 as working.
I'll second Vanessa.
Second from Vanessa. And just for clarity, 2 of those are with New Leaf and 2 of those are with Yellowstone. Each are 1-year contract extensions, which we did discuss either at the last board meeting or 2 workshops ago. I think it was the last board meeting.
I think you're right. Michael, could you just speak to it a little, please?
Yes, sir. We've had Yellowstone and New Leaf very similar, about 2.5 years now. Going on, we believe that Yellowstone and New Leaf both have done their scope of work. New Leaf has done very well down by the sports complex, managing those fields. Yellowstone, going around with their parks and everything around town. Nobody is perfect, but I do have to say, their project manager, Doug, is extremely reactive and proactive. If I find any issues, we speak and is taken care of that day. I think there has been some, improvement since I've, been on here and working well with Doug. Right now we're doing a nice project out at Longmeadow and Savannah that, just to improve the aesthetics there. I pay attention, to what the community wants, and I have to say both Doug and with New Leaf, they communicate well. And they take direction, and I just think they have earned the opportunity to shine the next year, and that's what we're expecting from both.
And this is at the same price as the old contracts.
Yes, sir. No increases on agreements of sod purchase, services, and irrigation repairs.
Okay, any other discussion?
I want to say I'm happy with their services overall, and I think the first term that I came on with everybody, Brian, Vaughn, Jackson at that time, the metrics was created to go ahead and help us through this process right here. And everybody is human, but they have really outdone themselves in some areas. There's been areas of improvement. They always addressed it. So I'm happy to continue working with them.
Kevin, I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking when I was reading the materials, I was thinking back to our prior vendors, like this is night and day. So thank you to both of these vendors, and thank you to Todd before Mike, and then Mike now with the oversight. So the community looks a lot different, so thank you.
Let me ask one dumb question, David, or maybe dumb. We know that Spring Lake and Spring Gardens out there is doing a bidding. What we're approving here does not include them, right? So even if that stays with Yellowstone, it'll come back to us as a new one. I just want to confirm that.
Susan, you're nodding your head or putting thumbs up.
Okay.
Yeah, that was, I think it was both. Multi-communicating. Ready to call the vote? Marianne?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
And David's a yes. So the motion passes for items 9, 10, 11, and 12. Item 13, we have a change order for wood replacement.
David, we've got, I'll just ask the group,
Yeah.
we've got Oak Pond with number 14, we've got Blue Sage with 15, and we've got Performance Roofing with 16. Do we want to combine 13?
I'm good with. I'm good.
good.
I'll second. I'll second if you make that motion.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Everybody else good with that? That all make
Brian's making a motion to approve those. 2 with Oak Pond, as he said, 1 with Blue Sage, and the 4th one with South Village. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Discussion?
My only question, this is all within the budgeted amount, right?
I have a technical question. Oh, go ahead, Michael.
Susan said yes, it
Or,
is.
or Susan said yes.
Susan
Sorry.
said yes.
Yes. And Tim can speak to any questions, the service area manager, because these are all service area.
I have a technical question on item 14. This is the repainting. Just help me understand. I was just not clear about shutters. Were they new? I couldn't. Some of the language said, you know, the shutters are the original. I'm just looking at the pricing on the shutters. Page 346 of our board book.
Hi, David. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you're fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, this is Tim, Service Area Manager. Yes, the shutters will be new for Oak Pond painting.
And that's all part of the pricing in here on item 14.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then there was something also on page 346 about options. There were 2 options listed, as I recall. And are those included in the bid, or are they options to be?
For the 2 different
one was caulking
companies for the shutters?
No, the options within the bid.
Oh,
you're
yes, so caulking, removing all the old caulking away, out of the windows and door jambs and all that, and putting new caulking in.
So that's
and
all
then,
part, that's all part of it.
Yep, and the expansion joint repair.
Okay. Any other discussion on any of these? Brian, Diana, Kevin, Vanessa? Call the vote. Brian?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that's 5. Marianne had to leave for another meeting. We still have a quorum. We're going to move to item number 17, if I've got that correctly. Motion to initiate the finding process for non-compliance items. We have an updated number of non-compliance items. Susanna, the number is?
18.
18. Okay, so motion to initiate the finding process for 18 non-compliance items through notification of the Covenants Committee meeting to confirm or reject the fine. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
That was Diana, and second from Vanessa. Any discussion? This is routine for us. Call the question. Diana?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
And David is a yes. Motion to approve the conversion of 4 fines for specific assessments. This is item number 18.
So moved.
Kevin moved, and we have a second from Diana. Any discussion on those? Call the question. Brian?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
And David is a yes, so that's 5-0. Item number 19, motion to approve 36 CROA intent to lien letters to owners delinquent more than 1 assessment. We have a motion.
Just go ahead and approve them.
Motion from Diana. Motion from Diana.
Second.
Second from Brian. Discussion. Call the vote. Kevin?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And Vanessa?
Yes.
And David is a yes. Item number 20, motion to approve 8 service intent to lien letters to owners delinquent more than 1 assessment.
Service area.
Service should be service area, yeah. Service area intent to lien. Thank you.
So moved.
Motion from Brian, second from?
Second.
Vanessa. Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
Whoever wants.
Kevin. Any discussion?
A lot of duplicates, obviously, from the first, so that makes sense.
Call the vote.
Call a vote. Okay, Kevin,
Aye.
Diana,
Yes.
Brian,
Yep.
Vanessa,
Yes.
and David. I'm a yes. Motion to approve 2 payment plans as requested by the owners. Owner requested payment plans. We have a motion from Brian, and the second from
Vanessa.
Vanessa. Thank you. Any discussion?
Just one, I mean, I look at the occurrences of late fees and interest over the past 5 years, and for number 1, I see that it's been 25 times. I mean, at what point, I mean, it's good to get the money, right? So I agree with that, but we're not waiving any of those interest and fines all the time, are we?
No.
Okay, I mean, if that's the plan they want to go
So,
for.
yeah, it's just a payment plan, yeah. Any other discussion? Okay, call the question. Diana,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
and David's a yes. Item 22, motion to approve 2 interest and late fee waiver requests totaling $101.51 as requested by the owner. 2 separate requests.
Do these fall within our guidelines?
Yes, they do. If you look, the first one has had 1 waiver. They're asking for their second, and the other one has had 0. And they're asking for a service area and a CROA, which would count as 2.
Okay, that answers that.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I'll just state it because people in the community don't know the amounts, but these are very small amounts. So,
Yeah, and recommended by management.
yeah.
Made up money, honestly. It's fake money.
Say that again, Kevin, sorry.
It's fake money. I mean, it's a late fee of yeah, we can say
Right.
it.
Yeah, late fee and interest. Call the question. Kevin,
Aye.
Brian,
Yes.
Diana,
Aye.
Vanessa,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, so it's 5-0, motion passes. Last item, motion to implement the CROA capital improvement, I'm sorry, next to last item.
No,
I'm sorry, reading it wrong.
There's actually
Sorry.
3 more.
Yeah. I'm reading up my printed agenda. I apologize. Motion to implement the CROA capital improvement plan is laid out in CROA capital improvement analysis document.
So moved.
Brian moves. I'd like to second that. Discussion. I know that we've seen drafts of this and we had discussions at workshop about this.
Right. We discussed it a couple times, and then I was asked to put this in writing, which I've done. I assume this is in the package that people can see out in the audience. But really what we're doing here is we want management to work with special events and recreational committees and move forward with our capital improvement definition for like what a performing arts center might be, what the community center might be, and some stuff like that. So we can really tackle these things and get them into buckets of big ticket items, smaller ticket items, and stuff like that. From a time frame perspective, just for sake of the audience, we're hoping that this work can be completed by March 1st of next year so that this board can actually look at it and sign off on that. And then the new board, since the election's in the first week of March, can then take 4 months and study the results that we get back. We did a freeze on capital improvements expenditures of a material magnitude through June 30 of next year. If we then have March, April, May, and June to look at these, we can start assuming COVID is in reasonable shape and our financials in reasonable shape, and unfreeze at July 1 of next year. And this would help us prioritize action. So that was the genesis of what was being done here.
Yeah, and this helps move things forward. So I'm very supportive of this. Call the vote. Any other discussion? Diana, Kevin, Vanessa?
All for it.
All right.
I'm good.
Okay. I'll call the vote. Brian?
Yes.
Diana? Diana's muted.
Sorry, yes.
Okay, Kevin,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion passes 5-0. Next to the last item, motion to implement the management company RFP plan is outlined in the CROA management company selection approach document.
So moved.
That's from Kevin.
Second.
Second from
I'll second.
Brian. And second from Brian. So this was already discussed several times, I think in workshops.
That is a correct statement. And then my homework assignment was to put it in writing. What we have done here for the sake of the audience who may not have read it is we actually want to have a request for information, which we would want to get done by November 30th, that we could send out to parties to find out who is actually interested. From that perspective, this board would make a decision by March 1 of next year as to who the 2, 3, 4 serious candidates are for the management company. Right after the RFI is written, which our target date for that was November 30th, we want to get the request for proposal process going, where there would be a request for proposal document written in conjunction with the committees that would be done by January 31st, so that if we agree, okay, here are the 2, 3, 4, however many companies that are finalists, then we can get the RFP out into people's hands and get the process going over the summer. We would like to have a task force that we would be seeking to form probably in the next month. I mean, it's already September 1, really. That would generate these 2 documents, and we'd have a chair for that, and probably just a couple of people who would help the chair. And they'd work with the committees and everything to get it done, but then we'd get these flushed out so that we've got good, strong documents. The idea being that, you know, it's already September 1. This is a pretty tight timeline, getting us all the way through to the new board, and then over the course of the summer, make a decision. And if you know, we don't know who will apply and who won't apply, but then it gives us time to manage this process. The deadline in the charter review document is December 31st, 2021 for a decision, and that is also when CCMC's contract runs out.
Yeah, one of the things that, and again, I know we discussed this in a workshop, either last workshop and or the one before. One of the key features that I really liked was community engagement through the existing committees. So that's a great way to get committee engagement. So whether it's special events or recreation or finance, getting their different perspectives or different expertise involved in a lot of the building of the RFP, and then the review and specific reviews along the way. So I thought that was a highlight. It also breaks it apart. So it's not like creating an RFP and showing it to the world and having 20 applications when some may not have any capabilities. So it's the RFI helps to winnow down some of the organizations that already have a capability.
And just for sake of stating it, obviously CCMC as the current management company cannot run this process. So this is going to have to be ran by the board, the task group, and the committees in conjunction with each other, because got to be fair to the other parties and the way the process works.
Yeah, we want a level playing field.
And Tom Slayton, our general counsel, will also be involved, correct?
Right.
That is a correct statement. Thank you for saying
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, thank you, Susan. And he's been involved in multiple RFP processes with other communities too.
Hey,
Other
David.
discussion. So go, Neil, please.
And just for our listeners, our homeowners, for anybody who may decide to watch this later on, and I, you know, full transparency, I actually said this in my interview when I was, you know, kind of pitching the board to come to Celebration. This is 100% normal. Any board of directors has a duty of care to regularly seek out to understand if their contracted services are appropriate for their needs. So for anybody who's potentially watching this and thinking this is kind of awkward that the board is discussing a contract renewal with the current management company on board, we absolutely support it as professionals in the industry. And you absolutely as a board are doing your duty of care to your homeowners by going through this process. So I just feel like that's important to dispel that there's any sort of us versus them potential, rumors that may surface on, maybe social media or just kind of like in the rumor mill per se. So this is absolutely a necessary process for the board of directors legally.
Thank you for saying that. And again, I'll repeat it, in the charter review document that all the homeowners voted in and passed by a huge margin in March of this year. This is actually a required action, and will be a required action again at points in the future when future boards do it. So this will be a normal course of business item.
Absolutely.
And I think, I appreciate that, what you said, Neil. The other piece, and again, just to reiterate something Brian said, the current contract runs through December of 2021. We're doing this now almost 17 months out so that we have time for a deliberate process. We do not want to make a decision on December 31st of 2021. We want to have the new board make a decision ideally summer of 2021, so that there's transition time if needed. Other discussion? Diana or Kevin or Vanessa?
I'm good with that. Thank you, Neil, for
Okay.
sharing.
I'm good, thank you.
Call the question. Diana?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion passes. One last item, motion to approve. This is an emergency item that just came on, I think, on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Motion to approve the replacement of the condenser coil and line set by Westbrook in the amount of $7,120.92. CROA replacement reserve expenditure.
And that's at Heritage Hall.
That is, thank you.
Exactly.
Heritage Hall. So, Brian, is that a motion?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Diana, you want a second? You don't have to.
I will second it.
Oh, good, thank you. Closing down. Any other discussion? Obviously, it's an emergency. Susan, do you want to say anything, or Mike?
No.
David, I will. I mean,
Okay, Neil.
it's August. The heat index has been 110. We host gatherings of our homeowners at Heritage Hall. This is an emergency item. Mike and myself called Vanessa. We gave a heads up, but I would have made the recommendation to proceed irrespective, because we need to preserve not just our facilities, but people's health and safety. So
Okay, good.
that's probably unnecessary, but that's where that came from.
Makes good sense. Any further discussion? Okay, call the vote. Kevin, Brian,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Diana,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
and myself, I'm a yes. Motion passes 5-0. That's all the agenda items. Board comments.
David, I got one item. We got an email from a resident, or at least a couple of us did, and with the Chevy Silverado and the new gym, we passed a motion that said they were coming out of replacement reserves, but if they're new items, would they technically not come out of capital or operating funds?
They are replaced.
Go ahead, Susan, sorry.
I was just going to say that they are truly replacements, and we're taking the nets that we would dispose of and repurposing them. So we're not getting a trade-in, but yet our pricing is under the budgeted amount for the replacements.
And the truck is a replacement too?
Yes, for
Okay,
the
so-
F-150.
So it's confirmed that both of them are replacement reserves because they're replacing something even if we're not getting rid of it.
Right.
And I think the different question is we're not going to carry reserves for the older items because in essence they've now been replaced. So when
Exactly.
they die, we are down a vehicle or down two vehicles, the NIV and the truck. They are not getting replaced.
Right.
Right.
I just
Other
one-
board, go
One
ahead.
question, board member, I'm sorry, not a board member, a resident brought up to me about the playgrounds. It's very happy that they're open, get the kids out, running around, all that stuff. But an observation that was shared with me, I have not observed this myself, so I don't want to go ahead and say that. But an observation she shared with me was that many people, parents and children, are not wearing the masks, which is still required in Osceola County, and encourage perhaps CROA review an option for a sign again. I don't know if that's there or not, but just a little bit of feedback on that opening process.
I think signage, I think Michael's point was signage was going to be put out.
Yeah, hi, this is Mike. Signage is out. We have the hand sanitizers out as well at all the playgrounds.
But the observation from one resident, Kevin, was non-compliance by some people.
I think
we can get with JR and Nikki and we get some more signage put out there just to really clarify that message.
Yeah, I just actually got the picture, so I was looking at it, and it doesn't say anything about masks. It just talks about the sanitizer and play at your own risk. So I don't know, just
okay.
Again, feedback that was shared, and we're just the voice that continues it on.
Just one, I'll have a board comment. As all of us know, I don't know that a lot of the community knows, but the Celebration Foundation co-sponsors with CROA the lifelong learning courses. So we are a sponsor, and Lifelong is continuing this fall with Zoom classes. And I think they have, I don't know, 20 classes offered. So the classes actually start in 2 weeks, and there's a great lineup. So just a plug for the Lifelong courses, again, a partnership with CROA and the Celebration Foundation to run the Lifelong courses. They're actually, the Lifelong has their own advisory board and all volunteers helping to coordinate things and as speakers. And they have a weekly lecture series too. So just a plug for the Lifelong Learning Program.
And David, one item, if I may.
Yeah.
I still get asked a lot about the farmers market, and I think we're going to discuss the farmers market again in September, if I remember right.
We are.
Yeah. So Susan says it's on the agenda for, is it September 4th?
Yeah.
Is that the one a week? So that's 9 days from now, we'll be discussing farmers market.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other comments? Any other board comments?
David, are you, is it just board? Can I chime in real quick?
No, you could chime in, and then I'll turn it back over to Vanessa.
I didn't want to, you know, steal the board's thunder, but I just want to reiterate that Susan's departure, albeit that a lot of us are, you know, we have a friendship and a relationship and we respect her so much. We also are very proud of her, and the team has rallied around her, and we're so excited for what her future is. And, you know, even though she won't say this to all of you, you know, her commitment to her family and to what's best for her and her future, we all admire her tremendously. So luckily, selfishly, we're all very close with her, which means we don't really lose Susan per se, and she's smiling, but we are proud of her for you know, for what's next in her career, and we all look forward to being on her fast dial or her quick dial on her phone in the future. So Susan, you know we love you, and unfortunately I don't think it means anything if we don't say it publicly. So you know if you need a place to sleep, where we are.
Okay. Thank you. I love everyone, the people of Celebration, the employees that my peers that I work with, just incredible people. The board of directors, I love the fact that the board of directors is committed to making Celebration the very best. That's not always the case in every community. So it's been an absolute pleasure. And you still have me for 2 more board meetings. For better or worse.
Yeah, I was getting confused with all these goodbyes, with all respect. You can't leave yet.
I'm not.
Not yet. Anyone have any other comments? I know we lost Vanessa. We still have a quorum, so we can officially close the meeting. So we better do that. We better adjourn before. Go ahead, Kevin.
Anymore.
So move, close, motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Kevin. Second, Diana. Good.
Second.
All right. All in favor? Kevin? Right, everyone? All right.
Aye.
Thank you all. Thank you for a good meeting.
I know.
Have a good night.
Good
Thanks.
night.
Good night.
That.